Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is this the event that Brandon Biggs talked about that is going to crash the stock market and also cause the death of the dollar to drastically begin, massive arrests to start, and entitlements to stop? Now, before I get started, a couple of things on note. Thank you for all of your emails and your prayers. Went into surgery Thursday afternoon at 1 o'clock, and I think it was 3 hours and 20 minutes. At least I was told that by somebody. We can't seem to find out who. But the doctor said it was successful. Now, they said it was successful, but I won't know for sure until I played a couple of games of racquetball, until I've seen an EKG that says that my heart is corrected. But I can tell you there's a bunch of things I did not like, just like my voice is not exactly back to normal. I told them I didn't want to have a trachea, but there's a whole lot of things in there that I did not like. I don't like it, and I can. There's a lot of things I didn't like. So I can tell you this: if my heart wasn't fixed, it's as fixed as it's going to get, because I'm not going back through that event again. That's my last surgery on this earth if I have anything to say about it, and I probably do. In other words, no, I didn't like all of the things that they do to you. I've said enough, and I can say a bunch more. I didn't like it, and that's part of my voice is gone, which I had heard putting a trachea, a fire hose down your throat for 3 hours and 20 minutes messed up your vocal cords, and it did, but they said it had to be done. So anyway, enough of that. I can't say anything good about it other than the fact that maybe it did fix my heart. We will see. So they say. Anyway, second thing is was not, my wife would not let me get to the computer for 2 days because I had to have a needle in both the bend of the leg there, both sides, plus a camera down my throat. Anyway, again, it wasn't a pleasant experience. So I could not set up for 2 days. So this first time I've been back to the computer, and I was shocked to find out that we were near red. And I mean, I pulled out everything. So here we are again. I'm back to saying I need some help. So if you can help, if God has blessed you, we could really use it right now. I don't have another savings account. I don't have any place to pull any more money from to cover the checks and the things that are coming in, the people that need to be paid and things like that. We almost hit red. Anyway, so enough of that. I've got some really important things to bring to you today. Sadly, the prophecies that we've been told through, for example, Shane Warren and Coverstone and others appear to be at the door, as I'm about to show you. Some shocking things are about to happen. Let me just say, I don't think this shutdown is going to get started again. Let me just give you, this is my opinion, based upon all of the prophecies. I don't think that Schumer is going to give up, and I don't think Mike Johnson's going to give up. And I think what we're looking at is probably by early to mid-November, we're looking at give us our entitlements. We're going to be looking at the dollar falling in value, as I'm about to show you. We're going to be looking at possibly in the next year, I'll say, if we have that long, and that would be a long time to have, probably looking at the earthquake, because we did allow Israel to split themselves, however that happens. In other words, in massive arrests, a lot of this is at the door, my brothers and sisters. Trump is attempting to fix it, but he is not capable of fixing what God has decided he's taking down. And with all the filth under it, just like some of the people starting fighting against the government, we see that starting. So a lot of the prophecies we've been talking about for 10, 15, 20 years, and Dimitri's 40 years, are now coming to pass. And for whatever reason, at least I feel like I'm not being listened to. I feel like nobody is paying attention to what this ministry is trying to say. So if you could help by sending it out, if you could help with a donation, now would be a really, really good time. Okay, now let me get to the important points. And I may just keep going. This may be a long program today because I got a lot to say. Or at least the events have a lot to say. Okay. First of all, the event. Now, Brandon Biggs was told that there's going to be a single event that's going to begin to crash the stock market and the dollar. Okay, so this is the prophecy. I don't think I have time to reread it. I just read it the other day. You can pause and read it if you want to. But he says there's going to be a single event. So here it is, or this may be it. Stock trading halted. BNP Paribas Bank. Well, who's that? And how's that important? Now, again, you can read every bit of this, but I'm just going to summarize it because I'm a little short of time. Now I haven't talked so much. It's saying that the eighth biggest bank in the world, the second biggest bank in Europe, just had a terrible day in the stock market so bad that they stopped this trading. Now, here's the important part. A U.S. jury on Friday returned a historic verdict against this bank, finding the French bank helped Sudan's government commit genocide by providing bank services that violated American sanctions. Some $20.5 million is going to have to be paid. Now, here's the point. Lawyers for the three plaintiffs, who now reside in the U.S., say the verdict opens the door to 20,000 refugees in the U.S. to seek billions of dollars in damages from this bank. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Okay, this is a French bank, so what does that have to do with us? It has a lot to do with us. For those wondering what the big deal is, BNP Paribas is the second largest bank in Europe, eighth largest bank in the world, and the bank is so interconnected now that a problem anywhere can be a problem everywhere. Let me read this out again. The problem anywhere can be a problem everywhere in a matter of hours. This could be the Black Swan or the event, which topples the first domino, causing the rest to get knocked over. Pay very close attention to this. Now, I think this is good advice, so I'm going to read it. You should have cash in your possession. Yes, gold and silver, very good. Not taken away from that. But I think a person should have cash, I'm going to say, for a couple of months. And I'm not talking about paying your house or your car. I'm talking about food on the table and gasoline and things like that, in case the whole system shuts down. And remember, Brandon Biggs was told that they just take all of the money out of the banks. Gone. They take it from all the savings accounts, take it from all the bank accounts. And I think he was not the only one. It seemed like there was another one saw the same thing. That is at the door. That's the point. That's at the door. So, 800-200 gold, especially if you have an IRA or 401k. Call them. Doesn't hurt, doesn't cost anything. Just say, here's my situation. Am I okay? All right, now on to the next thing. So, give us our entitlements. My opinion, based upon what I see in the news, what I see in the prophecies, it looks like this is coming to a neighborhood near us starting November 1. Why do I say that? Trump calls Democrats kamikaze pilots as shutdown standoff hits third week with no end in sight. I don't think they're going to get together. Why? Because the Democrats have posed basically to just undo what Trump has done with the One Big Beautiful bill. And the Republicans are standing their ground. They are not going to back up. The Democrats are not going to back up. I think this is all part of God's plan to take the dollar down. It's part of God removing the blessings. All right, now let's go on. So President vows to permanently eliminate welfare programs. Did you catch that? Permanently eliminate some welfare programs. What's he talking about? President Donald Trump blasted Democrats for prolonging the government shutdown in an interview on Sunday, vowing to permanently eliminate what he called Democratic welfare programs. What's he talking about? He's talking about SNAP. He's talking about a lot of things that are government giveaways. Trump argued that Democrats' by the way, if you notice I stumble a lot, that's part of being under the anesthesia for 3 hours and 20 minutes too. Again, I didn't have a good experience, but then who does? Sometimes you got to do what you got to do, right? So if I stumble, that's why it is. He said the shutdown stalemate gives him leverage to cut billions in programs Republicans have long waited or wanted to eliminate. They didn't realize that that gives me the right to cut programs that Republicans never wanted, giveaways, welfare programs. He said, we're doing that, we're cutting them permanently. He has the authority to freeze or suspend certain federal programs and projects to pay for hundreds of thousands of federal employees has been put on hold. There's more. So then Michael Snyder comes out and says, we want our entitlements. In November, food stamp money will run out for 42 million very angry Americans. Did you catch that? 42 million Americans are about to have their paychecks, their food checks, their stamp, their not stamps, what is it? SNAP or the WIC programs cut off. So, what do you think is going to happen when tens of millions of impoverished Americans suddenly stop getting their food stamp money from the government? It doesn't take a genius to figure out that a lot of them will be extremely angry. Unfortunately, if the current government shutdown stretches into the month of November, here it is, we really will be facing a nightmare scenario. Vast numbers of extraordinarily frustrated people will be demanding their money, and if they don't get it, I have a feeling we could see rioting and violence. Neither the Democrats nor the Republicans are budging. House Speaker Mike Johnson is warning that we are potentially facing one of the longest shutdowns. I don't think it's going to get going again. I think they'll switch to a whole new currency system. And I might add a new constitution, a new flag, a new name. It's all going bye-bye, starting now. For example, Axios is reporting that there won't be enough money to pay food stamp benefits if the shutdown continues past the end of this month, as in starts November 1. The administration is warning states that there will be insufficient funds to pay for full Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP. Benefits of the government shutdown extends past October, as in a few weeks from now. There will be insufficient funds to pay for SNAP programs for 42 million people. So what's going to happen when 42 million stop getting their paychecks? We want our entitlements. And what happens when that happens? The dollar starts dropping. Down a third to zero. Another one saw down 50%, zero. And then the earthquake hits. Remember? Okay. So these things we've been warning about, they're no longer over the horizon. It's ringing our doorbell. It is knocking on our door. Let's go on. Unfortunately, food banks all over the country have already been dealing with record high demand. One food bank executive in Philadelphia told the Washington Post that he has never seen our warehouse as empty as it's been in the last 3 months. In Philadelphia, serving the hungry has gotten more difficult than one of the region's largest food banks. Before the shutdown, demand for shared services had already gone up 120%, but now we got more people. In other words, when the checks from the government stopped going out, I think that was a prophecy from Terry Bennett, then the trouble will ensue. Do you remember that prophecy? So here it is. I've read this many, many times. I'm just going to summarize it. Now, July 10, 2012 was when Shane Warren spoke to Prophecy Club. And I encourage you, by the way, you really should, for your own information, go to watch Prophecy Club, watch the video. Just type in Shane Warren. Go and watch the video. It's 2.5 hours. Look into his eyes. Ask yourself if the man is telling the truth. And I think what's going to come back is yes, he is. So essentially, he saw a big storm, a financial storm hit. Kind of like what's been hitting us for the last couple of months, okay? Then out of that storm, there was dollar bills blowing worthless as leaves, 30%, zero. Another one saw 50% zero, okay? Then he saw a massive earthquake. And he heard, look at this, in the middle. They've divided my land, now I would divide their land. What happens? That happens when we split Israel. Well, wait a minute, Stan, there's a big peace in Israel right now. Yeah, well, so they say. But I don't know if you heard, but now they're back to fighting again. Only now Hamas doesn't have hostages. And so there's nothing holding Israel back from decimating Gaza. Then they would start buying another, Saudi Arabia would start selling oil, another currency other than the dollar, which happened June 9th of 2024. So you see all of it. See, it's a perfect storm. A perfect storm is when 3 or 4 events all hit at the same time. And I'm seeing that perfect storm hitting now. So, in summary, financial storm, earthquake, devaluing of the dollar, financial riots. Here we are. Here we are in the next couple of weeks. Maybe by mid to late November at the latest, I saw incredible changes. I saw silver, not gold, but silver begin to drastically increase in value. Then I saw people writing, holding up signs, give us our entitlements. And it was literally war. I mean, it looked like civil war within our borders. It was all over the issue of devaluing money. Now, look, this is not over illegal immigrants. This is not them protesting us. This is, I want my money. I want my check. I go to my mailbox and my check is not there. I check my account and the money is not there. I've got kids. Okay, so we got 42 million people in America that's used to having free money come from the government. It's free money, okay? Now, maybe they're entitled to it, but then that's the whole point. Give us our entitlements, right? So what we're looking at is silver is going to skyrocket, and then there's going to be a lot of people protesting. Anyway, let's go on. Then, remember, the Lord told me, August the 8th of 2015, as the judgment hits, so are my miracles. So all of this is beginning of the judgment, miracles return to the church. Now, let me make a point here. This is Chris Reed. And this is, the Bible says, in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, let a thing be established. If you'll take a moment and pause and read this, if you haven't already read it, you probably have, you'll see that there's several things he says in here that is straight out of what Shane Warren was told too. So this is confirmed. But what I want to show you is number 4. Riots and civil unrest as citizens demand entitlement checks. Boom. That starts November 1. That's when the checks start getting cut off. But now, probably they aren't going to get mad enough to actually go out and start protesting until, I'm going to say, the middle of the month. We might even see it even last to the end of November before they really get mad. But by come Christmas, they ain't got their money. They're going to be really, really mad. And all of these things, look at the top. U.S. dollar drops 30% in value. Some people say that's already happened. Middle Eastern oil strikes deal with China. Some people say that's already happened. Perfect storm, that we're in the middle of that right now. Food shortage crisis, not yet, but that's part of it, okay? See, so if you look at that, this is coming to pass. Now, let's go. Now, you remember this. Fall of America started with an internal revolution in America started by the communists. That's happening right now. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. Why? Because their WIC checks and their SNAP checks and their free money from the government gets cut off. Now, this is you can pause and read it if you want to, but I got other things I got to get to here. Now, this ties in perfectly. Massive arrest. Look at what I found. A special federal grand jury was impaneled in Fort Pierce, Florida, as part of an investigation ordered by the U.S. Attorney Pam Bondi into allegations that Obama administration officials mishandled or manipulated intelligence assets related to Russian interference in the 2016 U.S. presidential election, often referred to by critics as the Russiagate probe. This inquiry stems from claims that senior officials, including President Obama, engaged in a conspiracy, and he did, to undermine the then candidate Donald Trump's campaign, fabricated and exaggerated intelligence findings. The U.S. District, blah, 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 proceedings began January 12th. That's the point. So they have impaneled a grand jury that their proceedings start January 12th at Fort Pierce. Well, what have we been told? We've been told the prophecy says that it's going to be military tribunals. Fort Pierce, that's military. That's tribunals. So is this saying, here's the question, is this saying that we're about to see massive arrests start on, about, or around January 12th, okay, let's see, SNAP and the other welfare things start getting cut off. In November, there's riots and protests in November and December through Christmas. And then all of a sudden, here in January, the massive arrests start, the dollar's falling. I mean, we could be in unbelievable chaos. It could happen as early as, I'll say, December, January, but by February, I mean, you see people protesting because criminal aliens are being arrested. Wait until people like Barack Obama and his buddies, his cronies, the people that held up his arms. You wait until those types start getting arrested. Then you'll see people angry. Okay, so look at the situation. So the dollar starts falling. Maybe even the banks take everything out of our accounts, savings accounts, checking accounts. It might get that bad. Then the dollar starts falling. Then we see riots give us our entitlements. A lot of really, really angry people. And they haven't gotten, basically, the money in America has just stopped. The dollar is worthless as leaves blowing in the wind. So there's shortages of money, there's shortage of food, shortage of water. I mean, we're in chaos. And then massive arrests start. I mean, by February, we could be living in a world of hurt. Let's go on to the last part. Now, choosing Fort Pierce as a venue was partially due to the total illegal raid of Mar-a-Lago and, of course, it being strategically advantageous for the Trump administration given the area's political leanings and its location in Trump-friendly South Florida, potentially yielding a more sympathetic jury pool compared to, it's not going to be bad juries. They have a 3 military JAG, I think is what they call them, panel. 3 people. They go in there, and there's not the right to remain silent. There's not the right to an attorney. If you don't have money, an attorney is not appointed for you. They don't have any of those rights. They stand up there in front of those 3 judges, and boom. And they can get through a bunch of people real fast. And then, when they're judged to be guilty, yeah, you can appeal. Good luck with that. But it's pretty much wasting your time and your money. And besides that, what if it's not at Fort Pierce? What if it's at Gitmo or Diego Garcia? Or what is it, Guam? What if it's not even on American soil? Then they're in real, real trouble. Do you think that they are opening Alcatraz and Alligator Alcatraz and what was it, the Speedways, something, all of these extra places for arrested people to be held? Do you think that those are all just being opened up for no particular reason? I think it's a reason. Let's go on. Now, I put this extra on here if I could get to it. But we covered this recently too. Try to understand what it's saying. This is Brandon. Now, this is the guy that saw Trump shot in the right ear 3 months before it happened. The Lord showed me an American flag. The flag transformed into a $100 bill waving in the wind. Suddenly it transformed into a digital code. That's where we're going. I don't think the shutdown is going to be a get going again. I think this digital dollar is where we're going. That's what the prophecies say. No one says the dollar is going to revive. No one says that they're going to fix the dollar. I do not have one prophecy for that. Everything says this. Everything says digital code. Almost like a crypto code. Well, the Russians, remember I read this, and our Russians came out that they had discovered a plot that Trump is going to switch to crypto and then throw the $37 trillion in national debt into crypto and then throw that on the backs of all of the people in the world so that America's debt would be spread around the world. And they didn't like that, of course. But the point is that's probably where we're going. And, of course, nobody wants to listen to Prophecy Club. You know, we don't listen to that Dimitri Duduman stuff. We don't like that. Well, what are you going to do when it's biting you and it's ringing your front doorbell and it's about to hit, my brothers and sisters? Suddenly it transformed into a digital code, almost like a crypto code. It was moving like it was alive. It was like internet math code. It kept moving and moving, and I said, Lord, what is this? The Lord said, the dollar's about to turn into a digital dollar. He said it'll be worth half what it's worth right now. What does it take for someone to just look and believe the prophecy? Second Chronicles 20:20, believe God's prophets and so shall you prosper. So he sends Brandon Biggs, shows him Trump getting shot in the right ear 3 months before it happened. Oh, but we don't want to listen to that. Well, that's the hand of God. That's his signature. He's already been proven to be accurate. Now, is that going to be every little word comes out of his mouth can be accurate? No, not necessarily. So a $100 bill would be worth $50. Then he showed me the banks all went bankrupt. All the money that was in the banks, look, that's just what the first article talked about. The number 8 bank just dropped 10% in value and now has some $20.5 million that they might have to be paying off to people. So yeah, it could bankrupt that bank, and number 8 could start the dominoes falling. All the money was in the banks. Whether you were rich or poor, the banks seized it all. Oh, Stan, that'll never happen. Well, now, wait a minute. Have you got something either in an email or in the mail where it says, oh, by the way, we've changed our banking rules, and if you don't want to be a part of it, then you have to close your account? Did you get something like that? Because I've got it several times. Well, did anybody take the time to read that? Well, someone did. I had an article here, I don't know, 6-9 months ago, where someone did take the time to go back and look at what the banks were changing. Guess what the banks were changing? They were saying that you now own part of the bank. And if the bank goes bankrupt, you have to pay it back. In other words, you are a part owner and a part creditor to all of the banks, giving the banks the authority to take your money. Pretty slick. But these bankers, they've been ahead of the curve for a long time. So the banks seized it all. All the money in the banks was seized. It was now the property of the bank. I don't know how, but somehow, they seized all the money in the banks. People lost it all. How's that so hard to understand? It shouldn't be hard to understand. Loans that you have on your house, cars, everything, I saw that they took all of it. They called it debt jubilee because they couldn't foreclose and take everybody's houses and everybody's cars because the dollar crashed. Instead, they just wiped it all out and created look at this, look, a whole new digital platform. How many people have been saying that? I think I need to count it up. I'm going to say I have like 12 prophecies, all saying that we're going digital. Lines of people standing in line. They had nice clothes, but all of a sudden they were broke. It happened overnight. Same thing David Phillips saw. Hardly anything left in the stores. Certain things that would happen with gold and silver, he's probably talking about the same thing. Now, this is the last one. I'm going to close with this. Charles Turner, what did he see? Look at the yellow. I saw cash dropping into an abyss top. In other words, cash, boom, gone. There was no end. Cash was disappearing into the darkness. I saw dollars begin fading on each side, the point where you couldn't see the numbers on the bills. In other words, dollars went away. Why is that so hard to understand? I was made to know that the dollar is going away in a cashless system of digital. Oh, well, Stan, you don't understand. Charles Turner got together with these other guys, and they cooked up this big lie. These are holy servants of God. They're not going to do that. Besides that, how would they know to say this? And this was back in 2021. Brandon saw this in 2024. So they're talking 3 years difference between the two. I saw a system of digital numbers coming to be our new medium of exchange. New medium of exchange. What are they? If we can just believe what we're reading. I heard the Lord say digital. I said, oh my God, the cash is fading away, and digital is coming as the new financial global currency. Let me close with this. God is our only provision at Prophecy Club, meaning Him speaking to your hearts. And so if God has blessed you and you can help us, we would really appreciate it now. We need your help. If you want to be on the end of making money, gold and silver is preserving your money. If you want to be on the end of making money, then you might want to call prophecyclubcrypto.com or actually go to it or call that number at the bottom right corner, ask them about crypto if you're in the position where you can make money. When the suitcase nukes, I didn't say if, I said when the suitcase nukes go off, if you want your car to start, if you want your computers and your refrigerators and things like that, anything with a computer chip to work, you want to have one of these from empshield.com. empshield.com. And they have videos up there. It takes about 10 minutes to put on. It's not complicated at all. And if you use the word prophecy, promo code prophecy, you get a $50 discount, and it helps your prophecy claim.